what's going on? It's Javan Johnson here. You're watching episode number 80 of About 10 Minutes. How you feeling? How you doing? And so I want to talk about temptation. But temptation is something that we all encounter at some point. And one of the things I think is important is for us to understand what's going on throughout that temptation process and what it can lead to. So let's take a look at what the book of James has to say about temptation.
Seem like everybody want the spotlight now, man. Seem like everybody want the spotlight, the spotlight. They want the spotlight, man, the spotlight. Keep your mind focused on Christ. It's important that we stay humble. Vanity craves attention and often can slip and subtle, disguising itself as truth while it is exalting you. But God should get the glory in everything that we do. Remember, God knows our hearts and understand our motives. And you may fool people, but the Lord will always notice. Are you doing what you do because Jesus has saved your soul, or just going through the motions so that you can gain control?
Okay, so basically, that process is laid out for us. We can see really what happens, the different parts of that process, and really the end result of that process. And that end result is not something that we want to have happen to us, obviously. And I've talked about this before. One of the things to do is to avoid putting ourselves in certain types of situations. If you know that when you go to certain places that you find yourself in sinful situations, doing sinful things, then obviously, it's good to avoid those places if you can avoid those places. If somebody's going on a fast, and they say, I'm fasting, I'm not going to eat food for X amount of time, it's probably not going to be a good idea for them to go to their favorite buffet and get all close to the food and look at it, and all that kind of stuff. But one of the things that we can do to really help us, with temptation is to really look at the big picture. When a person gets into temptation, they're basically choosing something else over God. And that's huge when you think about it. And I just kind of put it to you in this analogy and realize that God is so much bigger than even this analogy I'm about to use. But just picture you have a person who won like a $500 shopping spree to a grocery store. So they can go and buy a ton of groceries, they can go out and buy groceries, buy pretty much stock up on all things they need for their house. They just have, they've been blessed with this opportunity. So they go through it and they get all the things they need, and they have a lot of groceries, a lot of food, a lot of things. And so they're loading their stuff into the car in the parking lot, and somebody comes up to them with a chocolate chip cookie. And this person happens to love chocolate chip cookies, so it gets their attention. They're like, it's a freshly baked chocolate chip cookie. Do you want it? And so the person with the cookie is like, okay, I'm going to give you this cookie. All you have to do is give me these groceries. And then the person sits there and says, really? All I got to do is give you the groceries? Okay. And then they take the chocolate chip cookie from the other person, eat it, and let the other person have the groceries. You'd be thinking, who in their right mind would do that? You got $500 worth of groceries. Why would you take this chocolate chip cookie when you have all these groceries? But that's essentially, when we choose something else over God, that's what we do on a much greater scale, because God is so much bigger, than $500 worth of groceries. And so we have to really look at it. It's like, it's not just that I'm choosing something else. It's like I'm choosing this over God. It's like you're choosing that chocolate chip cookie over $500 worth of groceries. And so, that's something we have to really look at it and really think about. Because at the end of the day, the pleasures of sin only last for a season. Like that person eating that chocolate chip cookie, when they eating it and they focus in on that cookie, they may be enjoying it, thinking like, this is so good, this is so good. But once they've eaten the cookie and it's gone, and then it sinks in, I just gave up $500 worth of groceries for this chocolate chip cookie. They're going to think to themselves, man, why did I do that? What was I thinking? Why did I do that? When we give in to temptation, it's like the same type of result. It may have that pleasure for a season, but then it's like, why did I just do that? Why would I choose that over God? And then think about the big picture, the people who have died, without Jesus Christ, who never got saved, who basically indulged in their flesh, and then go on to eternity without Jesus Christ, who go on to hell. Basically, they're left to think about this. They're left to think about the fact that they chose that over God. And now they're stuck with that consequence for eternity. What a sad thing. It's sad. So it's important for us as Christians, if we have thoughts of temptation, if we feel like, I can't stop this, I feel like I'm going to keep doing this, to remind ourselves what it is that we're doing. To remind ourselves that we're putting something else over God. And to pray and ask God to help with it. But it's important for us to remember that God can help us overcome anything. The important thing for us is to be open and honest and to ask Him for help. Let's really make an effort to not even put ourselves in situations where we give in to temptation. But let's also realize that, we live in a world where there's a lot of different things that can be vying for our attention. But if we do encounter something that tempts us, remember that we should choose God over that other thing.
We live? We on? Hey, how y'all doing? Okay. Now, some of you may know me as a gifted, extraordinary painter, artist, drawer. I'm well known for so, I've invited you to my art school in the past, but I want to talk to you guys about something different today, because I had a discovery last night while working on one of my new pieces, and I discovered another hidden talent. My talent is singing. I learned how to sing, and the song goes as follows. Last night, I was working on a new art project. It was based off of a briefcase that I saw at Walmart yesterday. I got emotional because this briefcase reminded me of my very first art teacher that I had in the 3rd grade. You just give me a little emotional because it made me think about the first time I ever saw a paintbrush. Y'all like to work with me? Cause when I saw a paintbrush, it made me think about the first time I used watercolors.
And so I want to thank you for watching episode number 80 of About 10 Minutes. Have a blessed week.